What's going on, everybody? Hope everybody's having a good day. Hope everybody's feeling good. Hope everybody's doing good. If you haven't already, hit the like, share, subscribe button for me. Join the Vsop club. Hit the notification bell for me. Turn on all post notifications so you know when I drop a video. Today, guys, the topic I wanted to talk about, and I think I'm gonna be doing these discussion videos a lot because a lot of this stuff that I want to know about and talk about, I really don't see too much on YouTube, or it might have been in the forum or something like that, and it wasn't really too expounded upon. So I'm gonna bring a lot of that stuff to YouTube. So I will be doing a lot more of these conversational videos as well. So be on the lookout for those. So today, I kind of wanted to talk about, now not kind of, but I wanted to talk about this kind of elephant in the room when it comes to Maserati owners, and it's cheap Maseratis. Okay, now this video might trigger some people. Okay, a lot of people might not like this video, but I think we need to talk about it. We need to put this topic on the table. So, cheap Maseratis. Okay, what I'm talking about is a lot of these cars that you see that are probably beyond, well, it really depends on what model, but the Ghiblis, the used ones that I've seen for 20 and change. I've even seen them in the teens, which is scary, but some of the Quattroporte V's, okay, I've seen those in like the 8,000, 10,000. I've seen them that low, okay. Some of the Gran Turismos, I've seen Gran Turismos like 08s, 09s, the first gens. I've seen those down in the high teens, I've seen salvage ones, like crashed ones, okay, where the front was all tore up, but the back was still intact. I've seen those for like, 10,000, under 10,000. So, Maseratis, okay, Maseratis are notoriously cars that are known to notoriously depreciate. Okay, I just said that twice, but they're notoriously known to depreciate. Okay, this has been a known thing. It's not something that's new to the brand. It's not something, this is something that really used to plague all Italian cars, okay? Now, Lamborghini, Ferrari, they also used to suffer from this in the 90s. Even in the 2000s, okay, they still suffered from this. I would say probably maybe the first Huracan, maybe the first Aventadors, where they stopped depreciating as terribly as the older ones did, okay? But like the Countaches, the Diablos, a lot of those, the Countaches, when I was a kid, you could find a Countach for 50, 60 grand. 80 grand, 70 grand to get you a really nice, like showroom piece Countach, okay? Now you look at where Countach is now, okay? It's a whole different conversation, but my point is depreciation used to plague a lot of these cars, okay? Now Ferrari and Lamborghini have marketing's taken off. They're limited number of production, and the supply and demand basically of those brands is what's stabilized. Well, some of them stabilized some of the models, most of the models, okay, in Ferrari. Really, I would say most of the models in Lamborghini, unless you start going to the 70s models, but that aren't wedge shaped, but my point is, depreciation used to plague even Ferrari and Lamborghini, okay? A lot of you guys, a lot of you kids, or if you didn't used to read the Hemmings, the DuPont registry, okay, when they had print, okay, magazines, this is how I know a lot of this stuff, guys. This is how I know a lot of how the markets have changed from when I was a kid versus now, okay, from the 90s to now, okay, because I used to read really wanted to own a supercar one day. So, you know, I really wanted to know. And, you know, I used to just read those magazines religiously. Okay. Again, I got a bunch of car stories that's coming about the 90s and, you know, how the cars were, car dealerships in the 90s. I'm probably gonna be doing a few videos on dealerships that were in Miami that I've been to when I was a kid. Okay, so a lot of these cars that you're seeing going crazy on these auction blocks, I've actually seen these cars with my own two eyes as a kid. Okay, so a lot of stuff. We got a lot of stuff coming to this channel, guys. So definitely stay tuned and subscribe. But my point is, again, okay, that Maserati, I think, is really the last brand to take off, okay, from Italy. Okay, I think it's the last one. First it was Ferrari, okay, then it was Lamborghini. You know, everybody has their time, you know. Will Lamborghinis will they ever be as expensive as a Ferrari, as the most expensive Ferrari? I don't know. You know, Ferraris have a lot of history, pedigree, you know, a lot more than Lamborghini. You know, a lot of racing history, a lot more than Lamborghini. Okay, Lamborghini really doesn't have any racing history, you know. So I think they did F1 for a few years, but that was really, you know, the end of it. You know, in terms of going back, you know. So, you know, Maserati, when it comes to the history, okay, it has more racing history than Lamborghini. It is what it is. They've been making cars, production cars, road cars, longer than Lamborghini. Okay. What hurts Maserati to me is the perception of the brand in America. That's what's hurting Maserati. From the 80s, okay, the 70s, not even the 70s, but really the 80s, the bi-turbo, that era really hurt the brand, okay, in terms of, you know, public eye, public opinion, you know, not even necessarily car enthusiasts or owners, but definitely in terms of the public eye, okay, because a lot of people that don't own Maseratis and never had one, even this era of Maserati, you know, the new era will still say stuff based upon the bi-turbo era. So, I mean, I take a lot of people, I take people's opinions that don't own this Maserati, you know, for a grain of salt. You know, take it with a grain of salt, guys. It's you know, but okay, the cheap Maseratis, the Quattroporte V, okay, the bi-turbos, even the ones, you know, the cheaper ones, you know, not even the ones that depreciate fast, but, yeah, well, I'll just put them all in one bucket, okay? The only reason why these cars are cheap, guys, is because the brand itself was hurt, okay, in the 80s. That's the only reason. As you start to see more YouTube videos, as you start to see, okay, Maserati make more cars, and the cars are proven to be dependable, okay, they're proven to last. As you see them go on the auction block and age, you know, and go on the auction block and age, and they start to rise in value, okay, eventually the perception of Maserati will change, just like it did with Ferrari, just like it did with Lamborghini, okay? If you guys were enthusiasts, or you grew up into cars, really reading about cars in the 90s, and you know this can change because Lamborghinis used to catch on fire. Okay, so if that can change, a car catching on fire, guys, literally, this was known to happen with Diablos, okay? They were known to catch on fire. Porsches were known to catch on fire. So if those two brands, guys, and I'm just sticking on Lamborghini because it's Italian, but if Lamborghini can change, okay, its perception, okay, after it starts making better cars, pumping out better cars, you know, and the proof becomes in the pudding, you know, then gradually, okay, the values, okay, you'll no longer start to see cheap Maseratis. And, you know, I think right now, if you want to collect Maseratis, right now is the time to buy them, because there's not a lot of them made, okay, worldwide, and it's not So as they start to age again, okay, and break down, there's going to be a lot that hit junkyard, okay? There's going to be a lot that get parted out. There's going to be a lot that get crashed, okay? And again, there's not that many of them made, guys. So think 10 years from now, think 15 years from now. How many do you expect to see? Okay, you know, I always say, and I'm gonna keep saying it, that the Ferrari Pininfarina Maserati collaboration cars are gonna be probably the most collectible Maseratis that will go underneath the MC12. Okay, and I'm calling all the 70s Maseratis. Yes, I think they're gonna go up more than that. I think they'll go up more than the 3500 GT. I think they'll go up more than the Sebring. Okay, I think eventually the Ferrari Pininfarina Maserati collaboration cars will exceed those. Okay, I don't think they'll exceed the MC12, but you know, because again, that was another collaboration car. But you guys can see where I'm going. Okay, this is why I say collect those cars, because look at where the MC12 got. 12 went. Okay, it will be interesting, you know, in the next 5 years to see where these cars go. Now, again, people who are interested in cheap Maseratis, I don't recommend that you buy a Maserati if you are not, if your pockets really can't afford thousands of dollars, okay, to fix a car like that, keep it running, because they're not cheap, okay, especially as they start to age and break, okay. Now, the bad reputation, okay, and then couple it with the expensive repairs is why a lot of these cars are cheap, okay. It's all people who are looking to, you know, get into one of these cheap ones, you know, but these parts are expensive, guys, okay. Not everybody can work on one. You don't want to have anybody just work on it. And they can be very finicky, okay? Especially after they've been sitting. This is another reason why you see a lot of cheap ones, especially in the, you know, 08, 09, 10, you know, in that era, you know, the first gens. Because a lot of them, you know, people have second, third cars, you know, they're sitting, you know, and a lot of them cars, they get issues when they're not driven, okay? Parts are extremely expensive. Again, you don't want to have anybody just work on that car. And right now, I think, you know, this is the time period, if you do want to get in one, you know, to get in one, because it won't last, I don't think. So again, guys, the cheap Maseratis, I'm gonna recap. For people who want to get into a cheap Maserati, okay, be very cautious, okay, on buying a cheap Maserati if your pockets are not there. And you know what I mean, okay, when I say there. You know, if you get insecure about that, then you don't need to be messing with that car. You know, straight up, it's not. They're not cars for, you know, everyday people, you know, and they're not. They're cars for people who are car enthusiasts, collectors at this point. Enthusiast collectors, okay. You know, people who want to maybe make a race car out of it. I don't know, you know, do a project, something like that. But the average person, I think, they're just going to pick up a cheap Maserati, pick it up, drive it, and it's just going to be, you know, all good. You're going to be into, you know, you're going to be showing out a lot of money, and make sure, that's why I say make sure your pocket's there, make sure you're there at a point in life where you can afford to shell out a lot of that money, because, you know, a lot of these cars, I've seen Maseratis, Gran Turismo sit, people have them sit for 6 months, they come back and they had issues with them lights on, you know, the seals messed up, you know, because they weren't driven, you know, or they were stored in, you know, maybe not the optimal type of place, you know. So again, if you want to buy one of these cars and store it, you have to store it like a collector would store it. Okay, you got to store it like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari would be stored. And if you can't do that, then it's really, you know, can you drive it every day? Can you afford that? You know, can you afford the maintenance, the wear and tear? You know, it's a lot that goes into buying a Maserati. You know, that's why I see a lot of people that, you know, Maseratis are so cheap, they're cheap. You know, if you have to look at a Maserati, okay, in that era, a cheap one, because there are Maseratis that are 08s, 09s, okay, that are not cheap. So everybody that's looking at these cheap Maseratis, you're only doing that because you feel like that's the only Maserati that you can actually afford to get into. Like, let's put it on the table, okay? I don't recommend, okay, you see an $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 Maserati and you think you're gonna, you know, pick it up the same way you would, you know, an Impala or something like that. I don't think that's a wise move. But, you know, it's not me doing it, but I just wouldn't recommend it. You know, cheap Maseratis come with big, extremely big service bills, extremely big bills from your mechanic. Okay, you're probably gonna pay what that car costs, okay, to get it right in the long run, what you paid for the car. So if you paid $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 for that car, most likely that's what you're gonna pay just to get it right in the long run. You know, and that's just, you know, probably on just regular, you know, a regular brake, regular service routine, regular brakes on the parts. You know, really, I'm not talking about, you know, something that you don't expect to going wrong, you know, and I don't. Especially when you take it to the mechanic, as soon as they see that pitchfork on the front, okay, as soon as they see the Maserati script, it's Italian, they're gonna hit you in the head, they're gonna charge you. That's why I say make sure you're there. You know, even if you want to buy a cheap Maserati, okay, even a bi-turbo, guys. If you find a bi-turbo for $5,000, I suggest you are at a point in life where you can really afford, okay, to invest serious money into a car like that. And I'm talking beyond 5, probably about, you know, 10, 15, not even 10, probably about 15, 20,000, you know, to get it right to a point where you can trust it, you know, it's presentable, you know, yeah. Because as soon as they see you bring something like that in, one, they're gonna figure, okay, you got a, you know, an older Maserati, you can afford it. You can afford for me to charge you. You can afford for me to tax you. You know, a newer one, you know, it's the same thing, but it's, you know, they're still gonna relay that same thing, that same way of thinking off of, you know, the badge, you know, off of the brand. You know, that's why I say a lot of you guys that's, you know, looking at cheap Maseratis and, oh, well, I can get into it 9 times out of 10. If you can't afford to get into a Maserati that costs, you know, closer to a newer one, you know, or you can't, if you're just not there in life, guys, really, it's hard for me to explain it, but if you're just not there, I don't suggest buying one that's 8, 9, 10,000. And I don't. It's not like an Impala, it's not like a Chevy, it's not like a Nissan, okay? And it's not any of those kind of cars that you really see on the street. That's why it's a Maserati, okay? It's different. As soon as they see you bring it in anywhere, you're gonna be charged, you know, super exotic car price. Okay, now if you can't afford that, then, or you're not there where you're comfortable spending that, it's not something that I suggest. You know, if you're not comfortable bringing a car to a mechanic, okay, that he mainly fixes Ferraris, Porsches, okay, that kind of guy, or he mainly fixes Lamborghinis, Ferraris, and, you know, Aston Martins, and, you know, Mercedes and stuff like that. Like, if you're not comfortable paying that guy, then again, it's not really something that you should mess with. You know, and those cheaper Maseratis, they're gonna dig in your pocket. Trust me. Don't think just because the car is $8,000, $9,000 that, oh, this is just, you know, it's basically a piece of, you know, and it's a cheap car. Like, don't get it twisted, guys. Okay. Again, I told you guys I've been following the car markets since I was a kid. Okay. Look at where the Countachs have gone. Look at where a lot of the Ferraris have gone. Okay. Used Ferraris, used Lamborghinis back then, even before, I guess really, I want to say before the Aventador, they weren't doing these crazy numbers. They didn't appreciate like this. All Italian cars depreciated because of, really, they weren't dependable, you know, and slowly they've been recovering from that notion, you know, from really when they came into the U.S., okay? But again, guys, if you're looking at them $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 Maseratis, you know, the Gran Turismos that are under $20,000, if you really can't, not really can't, but if you're not really at a point in life where you feel comfortable, again, paying the guy that fixes Lamborghinis, Ferraris, okay, paying that guy, and I'm not talking, you know, like that's your mechanic, you know, if you're not comfortable paying him, you know, if you don't, you know, it's a lot to it more than just the $8,000, $9,000, $10,000 price tag, guys. I see a lot of you guys, you know, I see a lot of people that talk about this, you know, so I really wanted to bring it to you guys' attention that if you're looking at them cars and you're not like a collector, okay, you're not, you know, at a certain point in, you know, older in life and you're retired, okay, or you're not, you know, you don't have an extreme high paying job, I don't really think those cars are for you. I really think you need to go, you know, kind of really either go get something newer, okay, or just go to a different brand, because, you know, Maseratis aren't like, they're like Italian cars, guys. They're just like Ferraris and Lamborghinis. When, you know, you're gonna have to pay, you're gonna have to pay. It's, you know, it's that kind of level, you know. That's how people see it, you know. So, you know, again, you know. So, you know, I see a lot of you guys. I might have disappointed a lot of people with that, you know. Again, myself, I'm even scared to mess with one of those cars because, again, they've been sitting. There's a lot of issues that could come around. You know, they're older. Okay, there's a lot that goes into, you know, a Maserati. And it's not like, again, they're not like most of these other car brands, guys. Just like Ferrari's not like most of these other car brands. Once you start really looking into the car and getting into a Ferrari, you know, you realize a lot of these cars, the way you drive them, the way you have to treat them, the way you have to store them, the way you have to, you know, a lot of stuff on these cars is not what it appears, okay? And that's why, you know, I really have to kind of like burst some of you guys' bubbles, you know. Like if you're not really there yet, you know, I don't really suggest that. You know, I know they're cheap. I know they look enticing. You know, I know it's, oh, I can get a Maserati for cheap. Fuck, for something with Ferrari block for cheap, but it's not that kind of car. You know, that's why you see a lot of them, you know, sitting like that, because, you know, some people bought them and figured it out the hard way. What I'm saying, that, you know, those cars right now are really for collectors. Those cars right now are really for enthusiasts, you know, mechanics who can fix their own thing. You know, if that's really not you, you know, you're not really one of those three things, and you just want to ride something sporty, ride something fly, you know, I would suggest you go to another, you know, go to something else. You know, don't, you know, maybe even get an Alpha, you know, maybe, you know, depending on the year, something newer. You know, but Italian cars, man, they really are different. This is a guy that came from, you know, an E-Class and E350. You know, I'll say firsthand, Italian cars are extremely different, guys. They're not, you know, or, you know, Maseratis and, you know, the Ferraris, the Lamborghinis, okay? Because once you get a Maserati, I feel like a lot of guys, they start going to read about Ferraris and Lamborghinis, and they start to realize, like, you know, these cars are a lot different. You know, the way you got to treat them is a lot different, you know. So I don't want to burst anybody's bubble, you know, or anything like that, break anybody's heart. You know, I would say, you know, if you still want to go ahead, definitely, you know, do your due diligence, read a lot, you know, hit the forums, join the groups on Facebook. You know, all of that stuff will definitely help you, you know. But I just wanted to put that topic on the table because I've heard a lot of it talked about. I heard this talked about a lot. I might do another video on this. Most likely I will. But, alright guys, I'm going to catch you on the next one.